Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Hello and welcome in, friends, to another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. We have a very busy show today. The Chicago Bears are in the news, and of course, just like this organization, it is an absolute mess of a story. So we got to get into all that even before we preview Bears versus Lions. Before we get to all that, let's take care of some housekeeping notes. You can follow us all over the universe. I'm on Twitter at Mike Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media. Be interactive with the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube to check out the video version of the podcast at youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. We're also on ROKU at The Rewind Sports 60. Shout out to Jerry Rios. Check us out at The Rewind Sports 60. We're on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Come support us. Buy us a cup of coffee. Check out our NFL confidence picks over at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves if you would like to support the network. We also have swag at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. And don't forget to join us every Sunday night here in Chicago on WCPT 820 AM. It's the Sports Cubicle, where we recap the entire sports week, both nationally and, of course, here locally in Chicago. It's the Sports Cubicle, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Dan Marver, Paul Shivari, Devin Tingle, and myself. So please join us there. Let's get right into it. It has been a mess of a week for the Chicago Bears. And this all started when a report came out. And this is very interesting times. This is very confusing times. It's very much up for par for the Chicago Bears. So a report came out on Tuesday. This is November 23rd when this report came out from a Mark Conkle from Patch. It is Matt Nagy will coach his last Chicago Bears game on Thanksgiving in Detroit, a top source tells Patch. And for a lot of you who maybe don't understand this, or are new to following the Chicago Bears, they don't fire coaches midway through a season. They've never done it before. And for this report to come out, and from a person who isn't a typical source, doesn't even really cover sports. And here in Chicago, there's a abundance of great beat reporters and insiders, including a Jason Leisure, including a Brad Biggs, a Hub Arkish, Dan Bernstein, Lawrence Holmes. The last two are actually hosts here in Chicago, and they haven't heard anything. But this report came from somewhere, right? Like, that's the crazy thing, is this just didn't come out from thin air. Somebody within that organization told that to this reporter from Patch. And it became a day. I mean, it became a day here in the city of Chicago. Now, to kind of explain how the nuance of what we've seen over the years from this organization kind of was encapsulated in these moments. We never got a definitive answer from the front office responding to this report. They had poor Tolbert, the special teams coordinator and coach, go out there and be the first person to answer questions. They pushed back Matt Nagy. Then we find out that Matt Nagy canceled all team meetings because he was having a conversation with the McCaskies and all the top brass. This is crazy. This is coming off of us hearing and covering on the Sports Cubicle this past Sunday at Soldier Field, the Fire Nagy chants. Then we saw what happened at the United Center, where there were Fire Nagy chants there when the Bulls were getting blown out. And even at Matt Nagy's son's football game, the opposing high school were chanting Fire Nagy, which I know a lot of people are up in arms, and it's actually a really sad situation. But again, it's high school football. It's a bunch of kids. Let's just hope they learn from the scenario and, Matt Nagy's kid isn't affected by it. But that's where we're at. And they don't help themselves. This front office didn't help their coach. We had that report come out what was it, 2 or 3 days ago from when we're recording this, that in Allen Robinson's podcast, he said that the locker room was divided, that he lost the locker room. So all this in a span of 3 days after losing to Baltimore when Lamar Jackson isn't playing. All this after your 5-game losing streak. After you had a 6-game losing streak the year before that. And a 4-game losing streak before that. This is all coming ahead. And I think before we get too deep into what's going to happen to Matt Nagy, I think it's also important to say, by all accounts, he's a good dude. He's never been anything but a good dude. And it's a shame that the Bears front office have done this. Think about it for a second. We all know that he's gone. Everybody knows that he's not going to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears next season. But to allow a report like this to come out, to not dispute it, to not answer it, to have him have to go out there, to have reports then come out of people in the front office being worried and upset about it, that players are upset that this got out. It's the same nonsense of the Chicago Bears not knowing what the other side of the office building is doing. And now we're at this point where you have all the coaches in an awkward position, all the players in an awkward position, before you even play a game on Thursday, which chances are you're going to lose. Oh, and by the way, Andy Dalton is starting. That's not even like 5th on the list of importance for the Chicago Bears. That's how bad of a scenario this has been. And it falls all on the front office and rightfully so on Matt Nagy. So before we go on the one direction I want to go into, let's finish up this Matt Nagy thing because there's, 0-4 out of bye weeks. That's bad. No adjustments out of halftime. That's bad. Not adjusting the playbook for Justin Fields. That's bad. Like, you could go on and on of how Matt Nagy's not a good coach. And you can see all the different ways that add up to Matt Nagy not being a good head coach. But the one thing that more than anything that needs to be spotlighted is this all leads back to Ryan Pace. Ryan Pace is the one who drafted Mitchell Trubisky. Ryan Pace is the one that let Kyle Fuller go to pay Jimmy Graham $10 million. Ryan Pace is the one that drafted Kevin White in the first round. This is all on Ryan Pace. The money management on defense, all on Ryan Pace. So my question is, yeah, we know Matt Nagy is going. We know there's going to be a whole new coaching staff. Who's picking the coach? Who's picking him? How is it possible that Ryan Pace has had 7 years? Look at some of his contemporaries around the league. The only people that have tenures like him have gone to conference championships, have gone to playoffs, have won divisions multiple times. That's not what this team has done. This team has never had depth. This team has never prepared for any in-game scenario, especially when it comes to timeouts, coming out of timeouts, disciplinary, being disciplined on the field, and not having disciplinary actions when they don't. And you could, again, blame it on Matt Nagy, but it starts from the very top. And this is how bad it comes from the very top. Because, again, let's keep going up the ring, right? They don't have an actual president of football operations. And it's so bad that Chicago Bears chairman, this is a report that came out, George McCaskey, was one that directed the Bears coaching staff to name Justin Fields the permanent starting QB prior to Week 5. The move was against the wishes of head coach Matt Nagy. And again, that was from Hub Arkish on 670 The Score. So either the coach wasn't smart enough to play the guy that the bosses wanted and adjust the playbook to it. Either the GM didn't get the guy that the head coach wanted, or the ownership has no idea how to get their message across, how to put people in charge that are going to make their organization successful. It's bad look for everybody. Nobody looks good in this scenario. And at the end of the day, you still have to play a 0-9-1 team in Detroit on Thanksgiving on national television. The biggest story should be Justin Fields isn't playing and how his development has been. Instead, it's going to be about your lame duck coach and your unprofessional front office and an ownership that looks clueless. This franchise is embarrassing, and they don't care about optics. They don't care if they look bad because they know they're still going to make money hand over fist. They're still going to get their brand new stadium. There's this new rule in the NFL where the last 2 weeks of the season, you can start interviewing candidates. This team would be smart to take advantage of that, to start funneling ideas of some of the great OCs and potential head coaches, which means they're not going to do it because the Bears don't make smart decisions. They do this weird, false sense of security of them having a stable organization. But when you start looking around, you're a lot closer to the Jaguars, to the Browns, to the Jets, to the Giants than you are the Steelers, the Packers, the Patriots, the Chiefs. That's the fact. So you could get excited about firing a head coach that probably is unqualified, that didn't do a good enough job of building a staff. But if you're going to do that, then you got to blame his boss too. And then you got to come to the realization that his boss, the owners, don't have an idea of what they're doing, and they don't have a person in charge to do that. Ryan Pace is going to fail upwards. He's going to find a job in this Bears organization, or he's going to go where he's always wanted to go and back into New Orleans. There is a reason why people weren't knocking on the door to bring in Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. There's a reason why Mark Trestman was your head coach, that Emery was your GM. Because it's as bad as the GMs may be, as bad as the head coaches may be, it's the same people making the hires and doing the dumb consultation that they continuously do to hire people nobody wanted. So, they're probably going to lose Thursday. You're not playing Justin Fields. Half your defense is hurt. And Detroit's a tough team. Detroit is not going to let you play an easy game. They're not going to just let you lazy around and win a Thursday night game. And that is a tough environment. And you are on national TV. So all of it is going to come to a head. And then they're going to fire him on Black Monday probably. No. Got to leave everything on the table. There's a chance he does get fired. But imagine that the Bears are so unprofessional, so bogus. They're going to let this man coach a game knowing full well that he's fired. They know he's fired. The real question is Ryan Pace going to be fired? And I don't like just using that nonchalantly, like I don't like when people lose their job. I'm not here to advocate for that. But he's not qualified. He's had time, but so has the GM. And I'm not going to be satisfied if you're going to just placate to the mob of sports fandom and say, well, it's the head coach. It's a little deeper than that. Read in between the lines. Let's see what this organization does. Let's see if they fix this. Let's see if they put some form of competency in front of them to become a better organization, to not be such an embarrassment, to be playing on Thanksgiving and people actually look forward to them because the game doesn't matter. And that's very unfortunate. But win, lose, or draw, the story still becomes what's going to happen to the head coach. And what have you done to Justin Fields? And what are you going to do to make sure that you build around him and that you develop him? Because I don't trust him, and you shouldn't either. With that, we will be covering all the Thursday games, Thanksgiving, 3 games. We'll be covering them on the Sports Cubicle. And, of course, our post-game show. Keep an eye for that after Bears versus Lions. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think? How embarrassed are you from this front office? Do you think Matt Nagy makes it out of this week? Does he make it through the entire season? I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and of course, follow the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Leave a comment down below if you're watching us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Make sure you're subscribing to us there. Hit that little bell to be notified every single time we upload a brand new episode. And of course, like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We're on all major podcast platforms at Mercado Airwaves. Please leave a comment. It really helps with the algorithm. And we want to hear from you on your thoughts on today's subject. That's wherever you get your favorite podcasts at Mercado Airwaves. Support us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. And check out our swag over at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Join us this Sunday, WCPT 8:20 a.m., 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. as we recap all the Thanksgiving Day games, all the Sunday games, what is ever going to happen to this front office and this coaching staff, whether it happens throughout the week or that Sunday. Make sure you're joining us on the Sports Cubicle, WCPT 8:20 a.m., where facts matter, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Enjoy all the games. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, whether you celebrate it, whether you're enjoying a day by yourself, a day off, whatever the case may be. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. Enjoy all the games. I love you. We'll see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado. Thank you, everybody.